Welcome to SoCal Sports Report, annual, I hope not, weekly podcast. I am John Stellman along with Vince Morales and John Adams. We'll get started like we always do with the topics, but we want to remind you too, we are live. Go to our chat room, go to Be On The Show, and send us a chat. We have John and Vince both monitoring our YouTube and Facebook pages. So go ahead and send something to us and we'll give you a shout out and give you a comment. I'd also like to shout out to Jake Formansky, who's back in the territory. Glad to hear that Jake is bad. He was a tremendous contributor last fall to the show, and hopefully we'll lasso him in and get him in here when needed. So
did he get the job?
Yeah.
Nice.
Be great to have Jake back. Okay, the menu for tonight. We'll start with the NL West. It's still everybody's ball game. Nobody has reached out and grabbed that thing. Hopefully the Dodgers can win the next two and take command of this mess. But until then, we'll talk about that. The Angels, in an unfamiliar spoiler role, they can actually determine the seeds in the American League wild card. The Yankees are 1, the Oakland A's are 2, but the A's are only 1.5 back of the Yankees. If the Angels can beat the A's a couple of times, that would certainly help out New York and vice versa. If the A's sweep the Angels, that would put some breathing room there. Rams and Chargers both racked up victories. That was sweet. Rams another dominating performance, and Chargers played very well, both victorious. Conversely, UCLA and USC both bombed. We'll get into those disasters. We're also going to talk about the Kings and the Ducks. They open their NHL preseason schedules tonight. Vinny's got a little bit on the Kings. I've got something to say about the Ducks. John might chime in there too. Let's see what we got here. I lost it too for a minute. I guess I think that's...
And then possibly golf at the very end.
Yeah, we got golf at the end, and we've got some UCLA, a nice UCLA story for you tonight that you're really going to enjoy, that John's going to break down as soon as we get going here. All right, let's get going with the Dodgers. A nice win last night. Half a game ahead of Colorado. In that never-changing West race, Colorado now halfback. They are 2.5. A half behind St. Louis, 3.5 behind Milwaukee for the number 1 spot. I think that Vinny's going to be a little bit. Has to admit now there is some consistency there. They're
playing better. I mean, obviously,
St. Louis and last night.
You can't count on Yasiel Puig to hit 5 home runs in 2 games every week. So, player of the week last week, and tremendous performance, and exactly the kind of thing that the Dodgers needed. They're scoring some runs. Excuse me. There you see. Yeah, I got the same problem going on as John. I got some volume issues. Sorry about that.
It's always good to point the finger right back at him, isn't it?
There you go.
Here makes me look like an idiot, and all of a sudden the idiot pops up. That's what a Triton degree will do.
That's right. That's right. So, the Dodgers got a great pitching performance, a couple of great pitching performances lately. So to be where they are after that great performance in St. Louis, and I was putting some dirt on the grave after dropping 2 out of 3 to the Reds. So, but they turned things around, and again, still a long way to go, especially when things are this tight. But the Dodgers are in first place, and so for tonight, I'll enjoy it.
I'd rather be a half a game ahead than a half a game behind. Of course,
right.
the one worry for the Dodgers is after Colorado leaves town, San Diego arrives, and there's another stellar team that the Dodgers.
I think they kind of plan. I think I got to give it to the staff and how they planned to get their pitching all set up for this whole deal too. So Kershaw goes tonight, and then you have the right-hander, the young kid, going tomorrow.
Walker Buehler.
Yeah, Walker Buehler. So you've got and I don't know who threw last night to get that win, but
Ryu.
So you got like a good 1-2-3 punch. So if you're going to win 3 games and try to separate yourself, you've just put your three best pitchers, other than maybe Hill, on the mound. to get this whole thing done. So and then what do? You go into the Padres series where you can put your 4, 5, 6 guys out there and try to just win with your bats. But they're scoring runs, right? And that's, I think, if you're looking at it, if you can kind of win 2 out of 3 of this and maybe sweep it, and then go in and do the same thing against the Padres, the teams that are successful in these postseason playoffs is the teams that are starting to rise,
Exactly,
and
peaking
that's
at the
what you
right
kind of
time.
want to do. I'll still tell you right now, I don't want to have to be one game in that Giants series.
Right.
I would like to have this thing done, or all I have to do is win one game against the Giants.
Right.
Because that's the series that is. I don't know. I know this is a very important series that's going on right now, but that's the other series I'm worried about. If I'm the Dodgers, is I don't care if we have 7 minor leaguers playing. It's just a whole different atmosphere, man. There's a lot of competitiveness in that.
The Padres and the Giants are going to want to be spoilers, and that's part of that's just part of it. Playing in the West, both teams are bad. They're just bad teams with not the kind of talent to succeed, and if the Dodgers just have to be in the mindset now that we've been here before, we know how to get there, and we know where we're going, and we're not going to let that stand in the way. Sure, there's going to be momentum, but they played in some tough spots in the postseason against the Cubs and against the Astros, not being successful to win the World Series, but they know, and this team has won a lot of games, and they know how to win. So the thing is that if you lose to San Francisco and you lose to the Padres, or in any combination, you just don't deserve to get to the next level. So it's one of those things where it's don't lick your wounds. You did it to yourself. Right?
Exactly.
So, but I've again, last week I was ready to throw dirt on them. Now I'm feeling like maybe they turned the corner a little bit. Maybe it feels like, I remember what it feels like to win these games, to go out, to get on a laugh, or and just to see Gray last night, throw up. He hangs a pitch to Muncy and then like slaps his hands down like, I can't believe I threw that pitch, or I can't believe Max Muncy is going yard on me. But he's done that 30 times this year. I mean, it's crazy. But the Rockies are reeling right now. The Rockies are reeling. Trevor Story out with the UCL.
Yeah, looks like he's done for the year.
Looks like he's done. Looks like he's done.
That's
That's a big blow to them.
Yeah. I'm not that familiar with the Padre pitching staff, but
neither are they.
Yeah.
By the way,
I read last week or so ago that they have juggled their rotation for the Dodger series. Now I don't know if that's going to make any difference, because I don't know if they have 3 reputable major league starters on that staff. But
the only guy that was reputable they let go after the trade deadline, who is the lefty reliever there, that was their only all-star. So, but if you can't go in there and win 2 out of 3, I'm sorry to tell you this, you don't deserve to go.
In your yard.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Yeah, it's in LA too. Yeah, exactly. So.
Okay, we'll be talking about this, I'm sure, next week, and we'll see what happens. It is exciting. It's exciting down the stretch. I'm glad to see that. I only wish the Dodgers would televise their games. That would be nice.
Yep.
I'd like to be able to watch those games at night, and it's really fun to see see all the jockeying and strategy.
Yeah, it's going to get quite interesting. What's going to go in that Milwaukee, St. Louis, and that. And the Cubs,
exactly.
Right? They're going to start beating up on each other too here to get down the stretch. So
that's a very tight race as well.
It's like they said back in, I want to say about 3 weeks ago, they said that the Dodgers have the best, schedule to make the playoffs. In my mind, take advantage of that. And if you don't deserve to go. Right? So,
right.
And it looks like
it was shaping up. It was shaping up that way. Arizona had the toughest, and they've been getting beaten.
And they got the Cubs in town, right? The Cubs beat them yesterday. Right. But it's just it's a good time to get your bats alive and figure out my 7, 8, 9 guy, right? Well, we know who the 9 guy is, if he can just kind of figure it out. But who's my 7 guy? Who's my 8 guy? Because I really only want to throw these guys 6 innings and hand it over. And if I can gain my relievers and set up guys to go in and grab a bunch of confidence and figure it out, then, and we can do that in competitive games coming down the stretch, it's only going to make our squad even better and get ready for, because if the Dodgers win, then it's looking like St. Louis and Milwaukee will be playing, right, for that spot, right? I think
Could be. Colorado could be in the mix.
Oh, and Colorado might be in. That's right. True. That's true. So,
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah. For me, with the Dodgers and how it's sort of shaped up here, it feels like this shouldn't even be a race. If Kenley Jansen could close out, if that bullpen could close out, and they lead the majors in blown saves, right? Or they're second.
And your whip is in the ninth inning is like 2.
Yeah, the whip in the ninth inning. It's terrible. And again, that doesn't sound like a championship team, but again, they've won close to 90 games. Again, for many consecutive years, they're looking to win their 6th consecutive, National League West title. They know how to get there, but it's the back end. It's Jansen. They'll sort of figure out piecemeal how to get there, but once you hand the ball to Jansen, you got to close the deal. That's what you've been paid gigantic money for. It's the reason why at the beginning of the season he was strutting around like he's on equal footing with Clayton Kershaw as a personality, as a star. It's like, no.
After watching how this whole year has gone with Jansen, I think the Dodgers need to go to him, and if he has a poor postseason or they don't get in the playoffs, I would demand that he's got to lose 20 to 30 pounds coming into, because I think he's just let himself go and his body's breaking down. And I think it's like Vince said. I think he just kind of said, look at me. I'm the man when it comes to closing out games. And I have a feeling like you're gonna have to, I would say, look at when you came to us and you were our reliever and you were at, I don't know, 245 pounds, 250 pounds. Like, he's a big boy. I would demand him to lose at least 20 pounds, 30 pounds.
I can't believe that he actually thought he was in shape when he went to spring training.
No.
I mean, how
well,
can
2 years ago, right? He pitched very little in spring training. Remember, he pitched for the Netherlands, right, in the world.
That's right.
The World Baseball Classic, right? So this year he didn't pitch much, and again, when he first started, okay, first of all, I understand the heart condition, right? Okay, so maybe that makes things tough for him conditioning wise. But you're a pro athlete and you're making some money. You better figure it out. Mm-hmm. Dial in those meds and figure it out, right? But again, the code at the beginning of the year, right? The subtext when he was starting to blow saves and he was giving up home runs and he wasn't. Roberts comes out and says he's got a flaw in his mechanics.
Yeah.
And that pretty much means you've got a big body, right? Trying to pitch downhill, and if you don't use that leverage, you throw your mechanics off. Well, he's a big boy. He's a big boy. And so he bristled at the thought of mechanics. It's not my mechanics.
Right.
And you know what? Fans don't care about it. It's like, yeah, they do. So he got off on the wrong foot, and he's continued to have some of those problems recurring, right? So he needs to get it right. And he needs to dial it in, because we've seen how dominant he can be.
Oh, tremendous.
But he just doesn't feel like a guy who you can look to get 5 outs, right? A 5-out save in a high leverage situation. He just doesn't feel like that kind of guy anymore. There used to be a time when he'd give up a home run or he'd give up a hit and then let the guy steal second because he doesn't hold anybody on, and you always felt like, oh God, but then he'd just be overpowering and he'd look really good and he'd really play it. Now it doesn't look like anybody's afraid of him.
No.
Nobody's afraid to bat against him in the ninth.
Exactly. Okay, we'll see how this all plays out. Can you check the Yankee Boston score? They should be underway, playing in New York, I believe. And like I say, the Yankees a game and a half ahead of Oakland. I'd really love to see Oakland win that, getting that number 1 seed, make the Yankees fly all the way across country to play one game.
Yeah.
I'm an Angel fan. I'm a diehard fan, but to be perfectly honest with you, it's not going to. They're locked into 4th place. They're not going up. They're not going down. wouldn't bother me in the least if Oakland swept this series just to get that number 1 seed from the Yankees. I'd love to see the Yankees have to come cross country because they haven't played very well. They've got a losing record against the A's in the Coliseum.
1-0 Red Sox in the sixth, bottom of the sixth.
Wow. We'll see how that plays out. But the Angels have a say in that, and like I say, it wouldn't bother me if they Oakland swept them if they could get Cruz just past the Yankees. That would be nice. Okay, let's get to, unless you guys have anything to say about that, let's get to the Rams and the Chargers. Another dominant performance by the Rams. Beautiful performance.
You get yourself a squad there, buddy.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I always want to temper these things. It is a very good squad. It is a Super Bowl quality squad. I thought they were last year as well. But let's not get things too twisted. That's a bad Cardinals team. I mean, that's a dreadful Cardinals.
Yeah,
that's a really, really awful Cardinals team. And so you got to temper it a little bit, right? They took a smack in the mouth from the Raiders the first week when things were just getting started. A lot of hype going on at the Coliseum, Oakland Coliseum, right? So there was a lot of momentum. Chucky's back. Everything's going. There's hype and there's momentum. And they took a punch. And then you first of all, you saw how porous and how poor their pass defense was. And so the Rams have beaten a couple of teams that I didn't think were going to be great to begin with. I looked at the Raiders and I predicted 6 wins. I looked at the Cardinals and I thought 6 wins. So those are not great teams.
Not great measuring sticks.
Right, exactly. But there are other measures. Coaching is looking pretty good.
Yeah.
The defense is looking outstanding. Goff is slinging the ball around. Gurley's getting touches. He's even found his tight ends. I didn't even know they had tight ends on this team last week, but this week he found them. They're looking good. They're looking good, and they're ranked probably. They should be the number 1 team in the NFL.
And I noticed that these players they've all drinking the Kool-Aid. They are like. They love their coordinators on the defense and offense. They love their coordinators, or they love McVay for the offensive. He calls the play. I think
he calls the offensive plays. Yeah.
So, but you lost your kicker, which is
it's a big deal.
That's a big deal, right? Yeah. So, but they already went back to somebody that's already familiar with the whole system, and they went and got a kicker that they had in the past. But what I noticed in that game, which I was very impressed with, is how McVay sees a weakness and he goes for the jugular. He just goes for it, right? And he goes, I'm going to do this for 2 quarters and I'm going to get a big lead because I see where I can actually just go ahead and expose them like no other. And then I'm going to be able to take my guys out and back it down and not look like a guy that's going to run it up and let my back, my second stringers kind of get me to the finish line. And there was a point, and we noticed it in the Oakland game. He started going quicker and figuring out like he's becoming what I remember back in the day. And tell me if I'm wrong here, but Pete Carroll at USC was one of the best second half guys. He knew exactly how to do things in the second half to be able to switch the momentum of a game. And McVay knows how to kind of show your cards a little bit, but in the second half go, all right, I figured it out, and we're going to do this, and it just opens the floodgates, and he can just go ahead and just rip out the jugular, rip out your heart, and I was very impressed with that. I mean, when you lose your kicker, he's like, I got no problem going for 2. That's okay with me, right?
Exactly.
Right.
He's got so much stuff, and what's great about it is, we've only seen 2 games. I guarantee you this guy's got so much more in his back pocket, to make things,
Just waiting for the right moment to pull it out.
And he looks at it. His prep is, you can tell, his homework is paying off.
Right. He's a smart guy.
He really
he's
is.
a smart guy.
And I'm just surprised it's taken this long.
Right.
To get him a head job.
And smart guys surround themselves with smarter guys, right?
Exactly.
And,
right.
and so what I see is you make the comparison of Carroll, and it's sort of like a mirror image because Carroll was a defensive coach, McVay's an offensive coach. Carroll was an older guy who relied on younger offensive coordinators. McVay's a younger guy who relies on an older defensive coordinator. So to me, it's like I get the comparison. It feels like that. It feels like there's a lot of energy. But when you're the offensive guy on the sideline, right?
Yeah.
It's harder to make adjustments. So he's got to trust those guys upstairs, right? The eye in the sky has got to be right on, and they've got to be informing him of what's going on and where those things are, and he's got the balls to make those adjustments in the first half. And then, but for, those things happened under, Carroll when he was at SC, but he wasn't the offensive coordinator. He would rely on his young guys, his smart young guys, whether it be Kiffin and Sarkisian, who were in the box, or Chow, who was calling the offensive plays, and then make those adjustments at halftime. They made those adjustments at halftime at Oakland. They didn't need to make anything at Arizona because with Arizona, that was a bad team. But they were hitting on all cylinders. Mm-hmm. They lose Farrell Cooper and they put in Neaton, right? Or Nealon, or whatever his name is, right? Jojo, right? Yeah. So they pick him up and they drop him in. They didn't miss a beat, right? Farrell Cooper, all pro, right?
Yeah.
Returner, and they didn't miss a beat. Right. Big deal. And so they're doing it right, and they're paying their guys. Who doesn't want to play in LA, right?
No, exactly.
They're paying their stars, and they're having fun, and they're winning. Who doesn't want to play in LA?
Plus, Hecker came through with a couple of field goals.
Yeah. At the very end.
Never kicked a field goal all last year.
He kicked natural at it.
Kicked a 21-yarder, right?
And a 33-yard extra point.
Right.
Yeah.
But they hardly ran the ball in the first half.
They ran it just enough.
Yeah.
They ran it just enough. And a lot of times, you're throwing the ball to open that up. It's a different league, right? Sometimes you throw it to open up the run, right. And sometimes you throw a ball and it's like just a long handoff, right? So there's Goff was terrific. And he has really even just in the 2 years. He is really matured.
Yeah.
So from
and that's what's going to happen is the second half of that Raider game to this whole game against the Arizona. It's only going to make his confidence, and he's going to be more relaxed in the pocket, and he's going to be, and he's facing the Chargers this weekend. And no Joey Bosa. So that's a relief, right? So
exactly.
If you just worry about Ingram, that's the only thing you got to really worry about, and when it comes to scheming things, so I think the Chargers are in a heap of trouble. They do play good on the road, even if you want to call this on the road, but I think they're just the confidence is just pouring out of their bodies.
It will be a road game because the Chargers won't have any fans there.
Right, exactly.
The thing that I find interesting is just that the way that they've got different types of receivers, and of course you're supposed to have the end is supposed to be a little different than the guy who's gonna be the game breaker and the possession guy and the slot receiver, with Cooks and Woods and they're who's the other guy? Cooper Kupp. It's amazing. They have distinct things that they're good at, but sometimes they can interchange them, and it really drives defenses crazy.
He's got Cook, who's supposed to be your sideline guy, right, going deep. He's got him going across the middle and getting hit, and he's taking the hits. And so down that is just the separation he's getting, because these guys are all saying, I'm not going to get beat long, because that's what this guy's forte is. And now he's got him doing 20 yards in, and he's wide open, right? Because these guys are like, I'm not going to get burned long.
Right.
So he goes and catches the ball across the middle, gets hit by a safety, right? But he's tough. I mean, he's caught. I mean, I think he's caught more for yardages this year than he did all of last year. Like, he's having a hell of a year already.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's exactly what Vince is like. How do you not want to be a receiver and come to Los Angeles?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So,
right. And
sometimes
sometimes
receivers, Josh Gordon going to the New England Patriots.
Yeah, welcome home.
Yeah. Here's my take. He won't last the whole year. Something will go wrong. Either he's not eating the cookies and drinking the Kool-Aid and not, obeying things, or it's just not working out. Because didn't like Joey Galloway, somebody big, a big wide receiver went and he clashed with Brady. If you're going to clash with Brady,
well, they've tried that experiment with Moss, right? And
well, it was actually pretty successful with Moss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it was Joey Galloway that tried it and it didn't work out. So
yeah, Gordon's a whole other character. I mean, that is a flawed character, flawed human being, and they gave him, how long has he been around? 6 years, right? I mean, he has dug his own grave most of the time, and for the Browns, who really desperately need a wide receiver of the caliber of what Gordon's potential is, for them to just give up on him, it says a lot about the character of the guy. That well, the Browns have called him out. He's a liar. Yeah. He lied about how he hurt himself.
Right.
And so they're done with him. So I mean, once a guy who has substance abuse issues starts lying to you,
yeah,
it's a slippery slope.
And getting back to that Arizona game, how does Josh Rosen not get in at the end of that game? How do you not at least go out?
Well, you're paying Bradford a lot of money to be the guy, and you can't throw Rosen out there at that point. You just can't.
I don't know. You're getting beat up in the fourth quarter. You're not going to win the game. It's a shutout.
No, but
get him some playing time.
Give him a couple of reps.
Yeah, exactly.
Let him get knocked down a little bit. See what it's like.
I don't think Rosen is 100%, right?
Yeah, it could be.
So why do it? Bradford's 100%. Just let him stay out there with the reps. He did. I don't know how many reps he got during the preseason. So you might as well keep him out there. The only thing, I don't know what's going to happen with Arizona, but I don't see them winning a lot of games this year. I just don't.
All right, John, your Chargers.
Yeah, so I mean, the great first half, it was really dominant. I thought they did a hell of a job. Everything was kind of clicking in the right way. We got Mike Williams the ball for a touchdown, and actually just kind of carrying over that, big offensive performance that, we had a good offensive performance against Kansas City, and, everything was just going good. Eckler has been a nice little addition to Gordon. I think he outrushed him by like 49 yards. That he catches the ball out of the backfield just like Gordon does. He's just a tough little guy to get down, and so everything's flowing greatly. And then the second half it's almost like we played down to our opposition, and we outscored 14-3 in the second half. And then I'm like, are they going to find a way to lose this football game? Like, what is it with this program that they always try and find ways to just throw up and just give it away? And obviously it didn't. It hung in there, but again,
they tried. They tried but failed.
Right. Exactly. But now you get your hands tied. You got your hands full here with this week.
What's the spread? Do we know the spread?
7.
7. Yeah.
It's gone up. It was 3.5, I think.
So, I don't know. They're coming off of a big confident game, and I don't think the Chargers are coming off of a very confident second half. So hopefully, through game film, I don't know how much they're going to learn in the Arizona game, because Arizona never figured out a way to score. So
yeah, they can't get any help from those tapes.
So I think this is going to be a McVay versus our defensive coordinator is more or less what. And again, not having Bosa, and Bosa, he interrupts things. They scheme for him, and I got a bad feeling with that whole situation. I think it's when you're dealing with a fragile foot. They say now the end of October. It wouldn't be surprising if we find out at the end of October that he's done and has to go to surgery and
done for the year.
He's going to be done for the year. It also has this feeling of
Chargers luck, right?
He's good. He's good to go, and then he re-injures it, right, or whatever. I mean, this is a foot that was hurt, fixed, and then another part of the foot got hurt. So it's
yeah.
I don't know. I don't have good feelings about it. So You know,
Well, it might be like last year's Mike Williams
I
situation.
I remember, to tell you a story, I remember a friend of mine, big Charger fan, he was talking to a guy that played at Ohio State, but he'd been in the league already 2 years with Tampa Bay. And he said, hey, because we had just signed Joey Bosa, right? This was a couple years ago. And he says, hey, tell him about Joey Bosa. And this guy goes, now, again, he's been in the pros for 2 years with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He says Joey Bosa is the best football player he's ever seen in his entire life. And he goes, what do you... And that's kind of hard to say. Like, you know, there's a lot of great football players that
Exactly.
you've seen in the last 2 years, excuse me. And he goes, Urban Meyer, when he had to go against the defense, his number one offense against the defense, he told Joey Bosa to go to the sidelines and wait because he couldn't run his offense successfully because Joey Bosa disrupted everything. He goes, that's how good this guy was. That Ohio State's number one offense could not do anything like they wanted to practice because Joey was in. He goes, that's how that guy is, you know. And it's just like what they've said with Khalil Mack. You know, you scheme for where is he? What are we going to do? We're obviously going to the opposite side, and it's the same thing you do with Bosa, right?
Stay away from him.
We got him and Ingram going, and I'll be honest with you. You know, I know you got a great left tackle, but if you have Bosa going against, and you're going to disrupt, because I think that's where the Rams' flaw is. If you can disrupt Goff, then he makes stupid mistakes. And that's how you stay in the game there. But if you give Goff time, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, he'll figure it out.
Because he's got too many weapons now. But if you can disturb him, you possibly could do that. You know, you possibly could get in his head a little bit. But
yeah, one of the unsung things for Gurley there though is that he doesn't mind chipping an end or chipping a backer. You know, he'll get in there. He'll mix it up if he has to. And the more he does that, the more a little dump off to him gets very, very dangerous. Right, yeah. So the linebacker play for the Chargers is key against the Rams. It's just key. Pressure, if you can get pressure on Goff. But once you start getting pressure on Goff, maybe you drop your linebackers, then Gurley's going to gash you. Right. So it's a tall order.
Yeah.
It's a tall order.
It's hard to defend.
7 seems like a big number to me. I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up being a 35-21 Rams victory. That wouldn't surprise me at all. It also wouldn't surprise me if the Chargers, upset them 27-24 or something like that, because the Rams can't kick a field goal, right?
Chargers,
not a short one anyway.
You think the Chargers can?
Yeah.
I don't know if Sturgis is our saving grace either. So.
All right, let's move along from the successes to the disasters. SC and UCLA.
Yeah.
Neither one came to play.
I don't think one is going to come to play for the whole entire year. I'll let you guys choose that. In the listening world.
Yeah. I think right now, if you're an LA college football fan, whether it be UCLA or USC, the sky's falling, right? The sky's falling. Now, for me, and I've been tempered about my feelings about USC. It's hard to win college football games with true freshman quarterbacks. It just is. Oh, yeah. And now there's stuff going on where said where it was saying we had lazy practices the last 2 weeks. Well, coach comes out and says, no, he misspoke. He didn't mean that. He meant just Thursday. Well, nobody can confirm that because their Thursday practices are closed, right? So said where said 2 weeks. And I believe said where. Okay? He's been in the program a long time. It's not quite a dumpster fire, but things are smoldering there. And I've said it before. Clay Helton is an aw shucks, all glory to God, choir boy. I don't know that he's getting it done. As far as the pressure, you can have a lot of talent, but then again, the talent has to actually show up, and you actually have to coach it. So right now the boosters they want Helton and T. Martin's heads on spikes. At the very least, they were hoping that Helton would throw Baxter under the bus. Their special teams coach. It's been crap. It's been absolute crap. 8-yard punts, demoralizing, absolutely demoralizing.
You can't have that.
I mean, you know what? You're
not in a big time game.
You're getting right, and now McGrath is gone,
Yeah.
so it's absolutely demoralizing to have that, and for Helton to say we had some pretty good coverage and we almost blocked the punt. No, you roughed. You got jobbed by the refs. Okay, let that go. Right, let that go. But you would have had. After that safety that should have been a safety that wasn't a safety, you would have had field position inside Texas territory. But you send a guy after him. You send a true freshman after him, and he roughs the punter. Not a running into the kicker, which wouldn't have been a first down, a roughing. That's on the coaching staff, right? All right, sure, kids got to go out and do that, but it's like everybody just drop back and
You're going to get
punt
good,
and return block. That to me is just stupid. And T. Martin, again, I said it before. It's like he's calling plays for Sam Darnold, for some senior. This kid needs a little help. He needs to be able to check down. He needs some little outlets, some things to get him going. He abandoned the run too quick. You can look at the stats and say they had -5 yards rushing, right? You can say, if you take out the sacks and everything that Daniels gave up and the net yardage, and they had, I don't know, what did they have? 18 yards rushing, right? On 16 carries. But that you gotta just keep trying. It reminds me of the old saying, if you're hot, shoot. If you're not, shoot till you get hot. The USC Trojans should be looking to make those linemen work. If it's not working, you keep running it until they actually hurt your guys or punch you in the mouth. You don't give up. And so when Helton comes out and says, T. Martin made some good calls, he had to do it because our run wasn't working, that's bullcrap. That's bullcrap. T. Martin abandoned the run very early. He wasn't inventive. He wasn't imaginative. He put too much pressure on a true quarterback, a true freshman quarterback who should be in high school, put too much on his back. He just put too much on his back. Mm-hmm. And I don't see that getting better. And now you got a Friday night game against Washington State who are just licking their chops to put pressure on. They put pressure on Darnold, right?
Exactly.
Right? They put pressure on Darnold.
I don't think
and won that game, right?
I don't think you're going to make your 8-4.
No.
They could lose
Lucky
to Washington.
500. Well, you're hoping to get into a bowl at six wins or something like that.
They could lose to this game coming up to Washington State, be 1-3. You still got Notre Dame on the schedule.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to beat Washington State.
Best game might be against UCLA.
Yeah, but again, if it happens, it will not be very happy supporters. We talked about it before, where the Trojans really wanted that choir boy guy who could keep their program, the nose clean of the program, right? Sark was a drunk. Kiffin was a chap ass. They wanted them both gone. They're both gone. It's a different program, right? Now we got boosters who are going, God, if we had just elevated Orgeron. Look what Orgeron's doing. It's like,
oh yeah, well he did a good job when he was the interim coach.
Yeah,
the players all
he
wanted him
did,
back.
and I'm shocked that for a while there he was sort of pissed that he didn't get the job, but then nobody hired him, right? And then he ended up, so he was at Ole Miss, and he came back, but I was surprised that he was getting SEC jobs, right? Mm-hmm. But I think Orgeron has a better resume for being interviewed and hired by an SEC team than Clay Helton. And if Clay Helton wouldn't even get an interview in the SEC, he shouldn't be coaching a Pac-12 team, and certainly not a blue blood legacy type program like the Trojans. It's rough, and I didn't have super high expectations, so it's hard for me to get really angry with this team, but I thought the defense would be better. I thought our run game would be better, and I was giving the coaches a benefit of the doubt, and I'm not anymore. T. Martin, for sure. at least Baxter, who continue. I mean, Helton again. If you got to throw somebody, he's too nice a guy, right? You got to throw somebody under the bus. Even if you pat him on the shoulder and go, Bax, look, man, I'm gonna throw you under the bus. I don't really mean it, but I gotta get a little heat off the rest of the guys. So I'm gonna throw you under the bus. We're good friends. Don't take it to heart, right? But no, he's like, he's the greatest special teams coach I've ever met. I don't know how many special teams coaches you met then, because they sucked. Right?
Horrendous.
Right? Eight. I mean, those punts, those shanks were just demoralizing. They killed us.
Yeah.
They killed us.
Yeah.
They absolutely killed us. And then the defense has to go back out there after poor.
Beat up.
It was just terrible. But the running backs get demoralized. And again, that three-headed monster, there's Vavae Malpai, he shouldn't even be in there. That guy would be second string at BYU. Right? He shouldn't be getting as many carries as Ced Ware and Stephen Carr.
No,
he just shouldn't. And I think this could get worse before it gets better. I just don't have any faith in the coaching staff to correct this, because I thought things might get corrected after the Stanford game.
I didn't see anything different.
No,
with the Texas game.
No, T. Martin. It almost feels like he's trying. He's trying to torpedo JT Daniels. It feels like
I think if they lose at home. Is at home, right?
At home.
Yeah.
At home against Washington State, I think he loses his job. T. Martin. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say.
T. Martin.
He should.
Nobody's going to lose it mid-season. Nobody's going to lose their job mid-season. Just won't happen.
Wow.
It just won't. With Lynn Swan, again, another shucks guy, politician,
exactly.
Smiles and
he's gonna start getting heat though, big heat.
He's already getting it. But he's pot stuck with Helton, right? I mean, they gave him an extension, and they're pot stuck.
Well, I know they gave him an extension, but I mean that's the whole deal. It's like you better make a change here, or I'm going to make a change for you.
From every look, I listened to those press conferences after the game. There was nothing. The press conferences and Helton's answers to questions made my blood boil almost more than the poor performance by everybody out on that Trojans team and on the sidelines and in that coaching staff. It almost made my blood boil, almost as if there was no acknowledgement. It was sort of T. Martin made a great call on that fourth and goal.
Didn't execute.
The execution was terrible. Trust me on that. The tight ends got blown up, but it's like, listen, you've got last week against Stanford, right?
Yeah.
They only had 2 active tight ends, right? So this week they only had 3 active tight ends. So if you're telling me that it was all execution, I'm saying no. Why do you have 2 tight ends when you're only 3 deep? If you can't, if we only have 3 tight ends, you're putting 2 of them out there. That's a bad play call. That's a bad play call. It just is. And then running, Stephen Carr, I thought that was the right guy to hand it to, but it got blown up in his face, and it's like, well, you should have seen that coming, right? Yeah. I mean, because you've got 2 tight ends out there. One guy who I think Petit is his last name. I think that's French for vagina. God, he's soft. And then the other guy you follow, who's been hurt.
This isn't a family podcast, I hope.
The problem is it's like my brother's best friend's son.
Well, I hope he's not listening. They're soft. They're soft, and they're hurt, and they're soft. So the tight ends, not the way to go. You're putting
Actually,
2 tight.
The first touchdown, Tyler did a great job on holding the guy and didn't get called for it.
Thank God.
Yeah,
thank God.
So,
but you know what? Again, it's not the kids are playing. Hopefully, playing their hearts out. The coaches are doing a poor job. It's just bad. And again, I don't want to hear that T made a great call on 4th and goal. No, it didn't get in the end zone. It got blown up because he didn't have the right personnel out there. So part of the right play call is getting the right personnel out there.
Exactly.
And no, Baxter's not the greatest special teams coach because he would have known that he didn't have a punter who couldn't kick the ball longer than 8 yards. Did you see the one punt? He punted it, and it was the third time he had shanked it in the night, and then his shoulders just slump. Yeah. And it's just like that guy should not be even punting again. I'm sure. I don't even think he's got a scholarship, but that guy shouldn't punt again.
He should.
I would take that guy's uniform off of his back the minute he walked on the sideline. Give me your helmet. Take off that jersey. You suck. You suck. In the pros, right? It's like, why did you cut your kicker? Did you see the game? Did you watch him kick?
In Minnesota. That was beautiful. Yeah.
Why did you cut your kicker?
Was that a tough decision? No.
Did you watch the game? Did you see what he did?
Yeah, it was.
And it should be the same way, except they're teenagers and they're kids, and so it's right. It's poor, and I don't know that it's going to get better. There's going to be a few wins in there.
The only team that can say they're not teenagers is BYU, right? You can say.
Yeah, they're married. Yeah, they're married. They have kids.
They're all like 25, right?
That's right.
So, yeah.
Don't they have somebody's got like a 34-year-old kicker? I don't think it's BYU, but he was Mormon. He went on a mission, but he's
he went on a mission for 8 years.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, John, give us the UCLA.
Well, I mean, I guess when we go bad to worse, right?
Well, first let me preface this by saying I told everybody so. Right? There's not a lot of talent on there, right? We've said that before.
Right.
So I wasn't expecting 0-3, but I certainly wasn't expecting 3-0 and for Chip Kelly to be the end-all be-all in the Pac-12.
Yeah, but you also weren't expecting a 38-14 loss to Fresno State.
Yeah.
Right?
Not at home.
Yeah. And, you go against Jeff Tedford, right, who's got offensive experience he's
and Pac-12 experience as a head coach with Cal.
Yeah. So he knew exactly what he was getting into with Oregon, right? With his Oregon,
Chip Kelly didn't scare him at all.
Nope, not at all. And that spread went all the way to, I think Fresno was a -3, and what was a -3 away favorite, So, but I started looking at some things because I don't think I need to really talk about the game. The game was horrendous. I mean,
speaks for itself.
There's a couple of things that I didn't get where he has as Vince has said, he doesn't have really any talent. His offensive line is not very good, and he's on his own. He's on the 50, and it's 4th and inches, and he goes for it. And you're like, you don't have enough to make that call. I know you can make that call at home. You don't want to do it on the road. But again, you don't have enough talent to make that call. He lost 2 yards on that play, and then about 5 plays later, they score, right? So it's like decision-making is not very good right now. It feels like every time I watch what he's doing it's a very conservative part of Chip Kelly. It's not that flashing of the cards and all these guys running in every single direction and disrupting defenses, and defenses are looking at the sideline going, I don't know what the hell to do here. I don't know what he's doing. I can't figure it out. It's very conservative right now, and it's obviously he's doing this because he's given 14 freshmen the simple version of maybe in 3 years we can be a little bit more aggressive on these play callings, but he's 7-20. I looked at this. He's 7-23 in his last 30 games, including Philadelphia, the 49ers, and now UCLA. So he doesn't have a good little record going.
At least he's consistent. He is. Never wins.
But the big thing about it is we got another LeVar Ball on our hands in LA. And
that's nice.
I thought LeVar Ball has been very quiet lately, probably because it's not basketball season. He really doesn't have anything to talk about. But now we have the football version of LeVar Ball, and that's the Robinson, the quarterback's dad, is getting very vocal on Chip Kelly. And this is only 3 games in, actually 2.5 games, right? Because he didn't start the first game, right?
No.
And so he's come out on his Twitter, and he's just laying the gas to the fire, right? And so quote by him on his Twitter was, he's speaking on and about factual. It is all about the coaching. Lousy coaching and play calling. Coaching that is so bad that it demands closed practices. $1 million coach who bears no responsibility. Just random observations from a frustrated dad. That's the first one. Then somebody said, why is he getting so conservative? Why isn't he playing that aggressive Oregon football? His years at Oregon was simply a fluke on his part. I am sure that he stood on his shoulders of actual play callers. Random thoughts outside looking in. Again, closed practices. So then all of a sudden Kelly responds today. I have no response. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. So now all of a sudden he's got dad out there, right? Which now Kelly has that power to say, I don't need this kid. Like, how much? I mean, but he doesn't need it. I mean, you're gonna have to play him until he gets hurt or whatever, and put in Monster. But because I don't think the kid from Michigan. I don't know what his back situation.
No, they shouldn't play that kid anyway. I mean, unless they just want to throw the season, they shouldn't play Spade anyway. Yeah. So again, and I've said it before, these aren't Chip Kelly's guys.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
Dorian Thompson-Robinson was not his guy. Monster was not his guy. He's going to get his guy.
Right.
He's going to get his guys. It's going to be better, Bruin fans. But he doesn't have them right now, and there's a reason he's not going hurry up, pace,
Right.
There's a reason, right? Because the UDA sort of Air Force model of, observe, orient, decide, act. These kids can't do it. He doesn't have the talent. You can't teach it with these guys. So he's not a lousy coach, right? Offensively, he was a guru at New Hampshire, right? It's the reason that he was plucked from New Hampshire to be put at an Oregon team that had some talent, right? And that he won 10 games with in his first year as a head coach, right? So he's not lousy. So Mr. Thompson, right?
Robinson.
No, I think he's just the Thompson.
Thompson. Oh,
I think he's just the Thompson. Yeah,
Thompson.
I think he's just the Thompson.
Mr. T.
Mr.
T.
He obviously doesn't know the background. Kelly is a very smart offensive guy. Did well at Philadelphia. Changed some things around there. Was great at New Hampshire. That team was, 400 yards a game, 40 points a game. They were crazy. In Oregon, we saw what happened when he had kids who could run his program, right? But he didn't stay there long enough for us to know whether or not, right, that was sustainable, right? So everybody says he's going to change everything. I think he's a good coach, right? Don't get me wrong. I like the hurry up. Change the way the Pac-12 had to deal with things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody started going out and getting coaches and quarterbacks and, and run pass option type things and hurry up. They just did.
Yeah.
But there's not a long body of evidence that he can be a head coach when he develops the program. Right? He's got 5 years.
Yeah.
Didn't spend that long in Oregon. Right?
Yeah.
What happened to Oregon after he was gone? They weren't terrific.
We'll have to wait and see when he gets his guys and see if that makes a difference. Because then we'll have somebody to blame.
I think year 3 is when, and I talked to some people at the game, and I said, "Do you hear any booing?" And they're like, "No booing." It's like they are totally understand that this is a total rebuilding process, that they're going to be bad.
Well, wow. Maybe not in the stands,
right,
but on those in those chat rooms and on those UCLA football boards, just like every school, those guys can scream, and they're screaming and they're booing, and they are, again, anybody who looked at that talent and thought Chip Kelly's going to win 10 games, they were crazy nuts out of their mind.
Oh, yeah.
They just
I agree.
were. But I don't think anybody was expecting 0-3.
Yeah.
I think people were
Especially when you go Cincinnati,
yeah.
Oklahoma, Fresno State.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree there. Yeah.
2-1, right? Everybody was thinking, yeah, okay, we're gonna
2-1 going into
yeah,
yeah.
we will hand Cincinnati. Maybe you get some of the the ice off.
Who do they have this week? I didn't.
Um,
Let me see if I can pull that up.
I don't know. No, I think they're off.
Well, there's a win.
yeah, that's
Can't
definitely
lose.
a win.
Yeah.
I think they're off this week. Let's get to the NHL. The Ducks open tonight in San Jose. The Kings are playing a split squad game. One game here, one game in Arizona with
So this is still preseason.
preseason.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, preseason. Vinny's got a little bit on the Kings. I'll get started with the Ducks. They've got a lot of question marks. I'm not so sure that the door hasn't already closed on the Ducks. They're getting old. They're getting slow. They're getting injured. For example, Corey Perry, MVP in 2010 and 2011, 50 goals. The last 3 years, he's gone from 34 to 19 to 17 last year.
Yeah.
He's 33 years old.
And we're paying him a ton.
Exactly. Getzlaff looks a step slower. He's also 33. They don't know if Kessler's even going to play this year. He came back last year from that. He had complications from the back surgery.
Yeah.
And he only played 44 games last year. He's 34 years old. So this team is getting old, beat up, broken down, and I'm not so sure that this is really going to be a playoff team. This will be a test for Randy Carlisle because.
Well, and the league's getting faster and faster.
Right.
Exactly.
So I mean, they got to look at and the San Diego Gulls actually had a pretty good season down there.
They did.
And I think if I'm Carlisle, I got to be open-minded on what I'm seeing in this preseason on these younger kids and being able to penetrate and be the next Perry, you know what I mean, and be somebody that can actually get the puck in the net. But I think they need to start steering that way towards, look, Perry, you're going to play the fourth line, and you got to play the guy because he's. You're paying him a lot of money, but I would have no problem moving him back.
Yeah, they had a very good games at the rookie face out in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
They won all three of their games. They beat the Kings, Colorado, and Arizona, 8-3, 5-2, and 8-4. Their line there was Max Comtois, Sammy Steele, and Troy Terry were very, very, very impressive. They were fast. They made some good decisions. They played very well together. I think they'll be if one of those guys doesn't make the roster, they'll be the top line at San Diego. But they were all extremely caught the eyes of scouts and other teams, executives.
And the bad thing for the Kings actually and the Ducks is Carlson going from Ottawa to San Jose.
That didn't help.
That team's an all-star team,
Yeah.
right? And that I know they gave the world away, for it, but I'll tell you right now, like they're all about we're winning this cup this year.
They're number one in the definitely number one in the division, I think.
Yeah.
There were a couple other defensemen that played well at Vegas. Marcus Pettersson and Jacob Larson. They could stick. They could stick with the team. They've impressed the coaches, and they're, like I say, young, fresh blood. They're in their early 20s. Center Isaac Lundstrom looks like a good playmaker. He might be somebody to step in and take that center spot on the top line, maybe a year from now. They've got some good young kids. They've got a lot of young, enthusiastic kids. They got good coaching down there.
Yeah.
The guy I can't remember his name now, but he does exactly what the Ducks want to be done.
And keeping Fowler healthy is a key too. That's the other one.
Yeah. But I'm just as they are now. I just can't. You got to look at San Jose. You got to look at Vegas again.
And you got to look at the Kings. I mean, it's just,
Kings are going to be good.
I mean, I would assume, Vince, it's got to be one of the toughest divisions.
I would think absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
I worry a little bit about the Kings. Their age. I mean, half their roster is over 30. They signed a 35-year-old Ilya Kovalchuk, right? I mean, who's a sniper. He's gonna be on that first line as a winger with Andrzej Kopitar and Dustin Brown. Likely is how that looks, and that definitely makes them better offensively. But it's still a bit of an older team. Kempe emerged, and he's gonna be the center on that third line. So they're good, and anytime you got Jonathan Quick in the goal, you have a chance to win every night. and keep him healthy, like he was pretty much for last year. Was the biggest difference between 2 years ago and this year was that Quick was healthy. They lost Carter for some time, and then Carter was able to come back, but Kopitar reemerging, was big. Dustin Brown having a good year. That was big. But again, those are two aging veterans. They signed Drew Doughty to an 8-year extension, right? Or he's got an 8-year. So he's around, and he's just, if not the best, one of the best defenders. And so with Muzzin and Martinez, their defense should be pretty good. I worry about the age. I worry about the age and whether or not they're going to be able to develop some of the kids the way that Kempe was able to develop. But that was something that that Stevens could do, and that just wouldn't have happened before under the old coaching regime. So I trust Luke and Rob Blake, Robitaille and Rob Blake in the front office. I think they're doing the right things. They got the team headed in the right direction. I think they're going to be tough, but I think they need to get a little faster. I think they need to get a little younger. I scratched my head a little bit at the Kovalchuk. Look, he was terrific in the KHL. I mean, it was only he only recently that he was in those world championships and playing well, right? I mean, he was the MVP of his squad, but he hasn't played in the NHL for a while.
Yeah,
and it's a different league.
Murray, Murray has already told Carlisle he wants a faster game.
You have to, because that's what everybody else is doing.
He doesn't want any circling the puck, dumping and crashing. He wants the forwards getting the puck out, not back and forth, but get it down the ice. He wants more movement. He wants more movement, more speed. And that's what today's game is.
But again, you got to have the talent to do that, right?
Exactly.
I mean, it's one thing to say that you want to headman the puck and get it out, right? But you need to have somebody who can actually get out there and burn, right? That's why, that's why I worry about the age of the Kings, for instance, and it's definitely an issue for the Ducks.
Even Andrew Cogliano is 31, so there's 4 key guys right there that are early to mid 30s, and plus you don't know if Kessler's going to play. Also, Patrick Eaves.
Yeah.
Patrick Eaves is. They don't know if they'll see him this year, and he's older anyway. I think he's 37. And
right in front of the net.
He's only played. Yeah, he is, but he only played 2 games last year.
Yeah.
He's recovered from the
that was a dangerous injury he had too.
But he still has a shoulder issue that has bothered him. So I think there's a lot of questions on both teams.
Yeah, with when I look at it, Tanner Pearson and Toffoli, Tyler Toffoli and Alex Iafallo, I feel better about the Kings than I do about the Ducks. So I'd rather be the Kings than the Ducks right now. But it's a grind. It's definitely a grind. And I think that's one of the things that, the Kings miss is somebody who's going to, somebody like Brown and Carter who can just grind in front and, and block the goaltender's vision and get in there. I think that's sort of a lost art. But the teams that can do that are the teams that seem to go and advance the farthest. So,
I know this
God, I hope he's just stopped the Golden Knights.
I was going to say, is their run to the finals last year the hangover? Are they going to be up there again this year, or was that just a 1 year?
Sophomore jinx. Who knows?
It was just a 1 year wonder.
They had some talent. I mean, they had some talent. The coaching was good, and I think that the goaltending was terrific. I mean, they had their pick of the veritable litter. I mean, with a Stanley Cup winning goaltender that they could put in the net. I mean, they obviously had some problems early where they were putting a lot of different. They had like 5 different goaltenders who were winning, who had won games last year. But once they got it down to to Fleury, it was. That's who they relied on.
Yeah,
and
that's who they should.
He's a Stanley Cup guy, right? Yeah. So,
John, we got any golf going on?
Just end of the year. So, the FedEx. So, only 32 players. East Lake. It's East Lake Golf Club or Country Club. They're in Atlanta. Real ball strikers type of golf course. Narrow in spots. So that's the it's the end of the year, and I think there's only like probably 5 to 7 guys that actually could win the FedEx final there. And then then we're gearing up to go to Paris and do the Ryder Cup. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to take the Justins this week. So my pick is Justin Rose and Justin Thomas to win the whole shebang, and the golf tournament. So and I'm hoping it's Justin Thomas who's going to carry that over into the Ryder Cup. To be honest with you, I don't know how much I'll actually watch. Maybe Sunday afternoon, but I'm looking forward more to what's going to go on in Paris and that whole entire week, because that's just
exactly.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
That should be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to having that on the list to talk about. On what's going on there. So it's golf's kind of like
hiatus.
The LPGA is actually on a little break. They're going to go to the Asian swing now. Champions Tour is starting to, the season starts in October. So a lot of these guys are now getting some of their breaks, to kind of be dads or boyfriends or whatever.
Be reintroduced to their wives.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it should be good. Top 32 players in the world pretty much going at it. And we'll see. It's a great golf tournament. So.
All right.
There it goes. And that's it. That's all I got.
We got anything else? Vince?
No, go Dodgers. That's
okay. Yeah, let's do that. All right.
Fire T. Martin. Go Dodgers. Those are my parting words.
Let's wrap this up then. We'll be back next week. And again, a shout out to Jake. We might be bringing you in here if you're available, and we're glad you're back in town. So we are out.
Good night.
Peace.